Unreal claimed 5.6 was built for open world games with faster compiles, better memory handling, and major performance gains. But was that just marketing or the real deal? I took my 100GB Cyberpunk MMO project built in 5.5 and converted the entire thing to 5.6 to find out. No fluff, no theory, just raw results from a real world project. Did it survive the upgrade? Did I actually get more frames, or did everything break? Stick around, I've got some numbers you're gonna want to see. So quick background, I've been working on a cyberpunk themed MMO shooter. Think futuristic gangs, neon cities, missions, and chaos, but with flexible, evolving design. I'm letting the creative process flow naturally as I build it out, mixing it a bit of everything: combat, exploration, economic system, whatever feels fun and fits the vibe. To kick things off, I pulled in the free Matrix City sample from Epic. It's a solid foundation for world building, especially when you want to prototype fast and get the creativity juices flowing. From there, I integrated the ASL gasp animation system to handle movement, interactions, and character control, and surprisingly, everything worked well together. The Matrix sample wouldn't compile on my machine, so I started a clean 5.5 project and brought in only the essentials. Clean slate. Once I had that stable, I outlined my city, and let me tell you, the design was done in a highly advanced tool called Microsoft Paint. Not sure if you heard of it. My idea was to start simple. One dense urban area with a central safe zone, shops, malls, and gang territories. I'll expand to other towns later, but the focus was nailing that first cyber chunk. Since I was using Lumen and Nanite, I didn't worry too much about optimization early on. In fact, this project was partly an experiment. I wanted to push 5.5 to its limits and see what it could really handle in terms of performance. 2 weeks into the development, Unreal Engine 5.6 drops, and with Epic hyping it as a game changer for open world developers, I had to test it out.
What went into the 5.6 release? An open world like that was just the perfect content to focus on our main goal for the release, which was performance. We want the engine to scale to large and rich worlds. We want to preserve graphics quality. And of course, we want to deliver high frame rates that you and your players expect.
So I thought, let's convert the project and see what kind of performance boost I get. I installed 5.6, launched the project, and of course, it asked me to make a copy. And here's a tip. Always make a backup before converting. Trust me, 80% of the time, something breaks. For me, a few plugins broke and some of the older Metahuman assets threw errors. But here's the good news. Metahuman now has a full editor integration. You can morph bodies, adjust features, and you no longer need to go through the web. It's faster, more flexible, and honestly, it's a big quality of life upgrade. Now, it wasn't all smooth. I spent a whole day fixing broken materials, updating references, and getting rid of missing texture errors. Some plugins weren't compatible yet, so tip number 2, if you're using Marketplace or Fab Store plugins, wait until they're officially updated for 5.6 unless you like debugging for hours. Fortunately, I kept my project pretty vanilla plugin wise, so I powered through. Once I got everything running, I started replacing the Matrix assets with more cyberpunk themed meshes and buildings. Also swapped in a custom character to match the aesthetics, and man, it started to feel AAA real quick. Now came the moment of truth, stress testing. Before running benchmarks, I made sure to convert all assets to Nanite. And tip number 3, don't blindly convert everything. If a mesh uses translucent materials, Nanite can break it or cause visual bugs, especially with glass, lights, and holograms. Unfortunately, these are things I need for my cyberpunk world. That said, 5.6 finally allows foliage and trees to use Nanite, which is a huge win. You can now build a rich environment without destroying your frame rate. I compiled the project in 5.6. It only took about 3 to 5 minutes, which was wild considering I had over 100GB of assets. The results? Smooth as butter. I was hitting 120 to 140 FPS in a chip build. Feel free to check out the frames throughout the video. Then I went back and compiled the 5.5 version for comparison. That one took a bit longer, had to fix some warnings, and once it ran, the game froze. RAM warning popped out. I was over budget on the texture pool, which made sense. I had tons of 4K textures loaded in. To troubleshoot, I packaged the 5.6 version in shipping and developer mode, and 5.5 gave me a black screen, then crashed out after 2 minutes saying I ran out of RAM. I remember I hadn't baked the procedure roads and buildings in 5.5, so I baked them, repackaged, and finally got the city to load. FPS was around 100 to 90. So 5.6 gave me a 20 to 40 FPS boost right off the gate, even without baking the roads and city. That's no small thing. And editor performance saw a noticeable jump as well, especially during standalone testing. The Unreal 5.6 version consistently ran between 90 to 120 FPS, while the same project in 5.5 hovered around 80 to 90 FPS. That's a significant gain, especially if I plan to bring this to console later on. Also, keep in mind, I'm rocking a 3090 RTX with a Ryzen 5800X, 3.8 GHz. During the State of Unreal event, Epic mentioned their goal of hitting a stable 60 FPS on consoles using some serious engine wizardry, and 5.6 was built with that in mind. Here's a quick clip from their latest tech demo showcasing exactly that.
Another thing I would like to share is that ray tracing and Lumen now run more than twice as fast, with no visual trade-off compared to when UE5 was released. And because of that, we can now hit 60 FPS on consoles. And finally, we rewrote the rendering pipeline to run asynchronously so you can increase the richness of your scenes even more.
So, should you upgrade your project to 5.6? If you're working on an open world game or anything heavy in assets, yes, by all means, but with caution. Make a backup, test your plugins, and be ready to spend a day or two fixing things. But once you're in, the gains, performance, features, Metahuman tools, Nanite foliage, they're worth it. Just don't rush it if your project's mid-launch or in a tight timeline. Anyways, that's where I'm at right now. I'll be replacing more assets, polishing environments, and optimizing as I go. The Cyberpunk gang MMO is evolving fast, and I'm planning to roll out a Steam page soon. If you want to follow the journey, beta test with me, or just chat about dev stuff, join my Discord in the link below. I love to connect with other devs and see what you're building too. And hey, if you found this helpful or entertaining, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next devlog. And also, if you got a project you're working on, drop the name and where to find it in the comment below, and I might give you a shout out in the next video. Till next time, keep building.